chicks. Great. Way to ruin the segment. Way to ruin your career. Like everything else that you've done. Alright, can I go on to the next email? So that's the first one. Thank you, Rachel. I read your email on the air. The other one comes in from a Yankee. And I'm not going to quote him verbatim, but basically he discovered a whole new conflict. Like, let's just wrap up what we've had the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago we discussed the Burger King bailout. Remember that? We talked about the Burger King bailout because the judge in the case, the one who presided over the Rabushkin case and gave him the verdict of 27 years, she has a conflict of interest list, and on that conflict of interest list was Goldman Sachs. And Goldman Sachs is heavily invested in Burger King, right? And Burger King had issues with taking advantage of its employees, and so to deflect the, you could say that to deflect the attention away from Burger King's problems, let's go find somebody else. Let's throw the Jew down the well, right? We were saying that the last couple of weeks, right? Let's throw Rabushkin down the well and say that he's also got taking advantage of his employees, right? So because of that, because she's heavily invested in Burger King, and you could say that, so you see that there's a potential conflict of interest because it's the appearance of impropriety. And the following week, last week, we talked about how it even gets worse. Because Burger King's only the #2 fast food restaurant, and Goldman Sachs isn't that huge of a company. But last week we talked about Chase Bank, J.P. Morgan Chase, who I believe is the biggest bank in America, and they were heavily involved in the investment of the biggest meat industry, biggest meat conglomerate in the world. It's called JBS Swift, and Swift, for those who remember, was busted by immigration officials in the United States because they had 1,200 illegal aliens. Yet nobody in Swift went to prison for 27 years like Rabushkin did, right? So you see that there's something fishy going on. Like, you know, this woman Rachel wrote, there's a rat. We smell a rat because something doesn't add up here.
Something smells fishy.
Something smells fishy in the meat industry. And, okay, so that's the story with that. So we had the conflict of interest because J.P. Morgan is on the judge's conflict of interest list, just like Goldman Sachs. J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs are heavily invested, and you could make the case that there is reason to believe that there would be favoritism. In her advantage, she would have a financial gain if to send Rabushkin down the well, to send the media and the government and everybody after the Jew, which she's not invested with at all. That's the competition, and she would stay with her. She would, take a financial gain from that. She has gained financially by sending him down the well, by closing out agri-processors. Even if it wasn't her intention, there is at least the appearance of impropriety. Remember that? You know what I was thinking? I wanted to add to this real quickly, right? Is that in baseball, you're not allowed to bet. If you're like, remember Pete Rose got kicked out of baseball?
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to bet on teams if you're like involved in baseball.
Yeah.
Right? But it wasn't like he threw the game.
Yeah.
He bet on himself. He bet on his own team. So like, what's the problem?
Exactly.
Well, what is the problem, Levi? You know what the problem with that is?
Impropriety. Looks bad.
It looks bad. You know why it looks bad? Because you're the manager.
Yeah, you could throw a pitcher in.
Bingo! You manipulate the pitching order. So the nights that you're taking your team, some nights you don't have a bet going. But the nights you're taking your team are the nights that you put in your pitcher. That means on other nights you might be more tempted to lose. See, it's the appearance of impropriety. It doesn't look right, and it's bad for baseball, right? It's bad for baseball, and that's why Pete Rose is never going to get in the Hall of Fame. I don't know what, but the point is, it's the appearance of impropriety. It's when your competition, you don't want if you play for the Lakers, right? You don't want the judge in the case to be a Celtics fan, right? You're going up because he's going to put you in jail just so, the competition. That doesn't make any sense. So that, just because, we're not talking about somebody who's owned by them, like a Celtic was going up. That would be a case of conflict of interest. But even if a Laker was going up in front of a Celtic judge, it's a conflict of interest because it's the competition. Okay, so that's easily explainable. So Yankee wrote in, And he said he discovered a whole new conflict, a third conflict in addition to those two. And he's still working on it, and we'll hopefully be able to share it next week, maybe. So we have something to look forward to next week, is that Yankee's got a whole new conflict. But before then, you should all prepare for it by watching 2 videos. So, and you can do so by going to your YouTube search and type in the phrase Rubashkin lawyer speaks at a Gouda dinner. Have you watched these videos? It's a 2-part video series.
As you watching other videos.
Yeah, I know all about your videos. Rubashkin lawyer speaks at a Gouda dinner. Okay, and everybody should watch that. I'm going to post the links to the videos tomorrow on the Torah Talks fan page on Facebook, and all of you should, of course, join that. If you're not part of it, then you're just completely missing out. So if you're on Facebook, find us at Torah Talks fan page, the Torah Talks fan page with Rabbi Rebs and Luke Ford. If you're not part of Facebook, you should join it just for that. That's our home. And I would also say that you should please, everybody watching this should please mention this request that I made to anyone you know who might be interested in the Rubashkin case. Tell them where they can find us on YouTube. Tell us where they can tune in next week, because we are the home, lady. We are Rubashkin Central. This is where people are coming to with their information and their hot tips. Okay?
So you're talking about bailouts.
Yes?
Different times in my life have I been bailed out by Oriental women.
I think the segment that's going to be used to go viral just ended, because this isn't going to want to be on it. Okay.
Because, like, I've been down and out, I've been struggling, I've been going through some tough times, and there's just like a nurturing quality in an Oriental woman that's often not there with the white woman, the Latino woman, and even the black woman. Like, there's just like a soft, gentle, nurturing quality that many Oriental women have. And also they have a way of just squeezing you tight. They just like wrap you up in their love, and they squeeze you so tight that like so many white women out there are just sloppy. Like, you just feel like
what does this have to do with the Rubashkin
lost
case?
in the Grand Canyon. It's like,
what does this have to do with
like
anything?
You can't even feel the sides of the Grand Canyon. It's like you are so lost, and it's in those times you go, oh,
right.
Like I wish I could be squeezed by an Oriental woman right now. Because they know how to nurture a man. They don't put him down in public. They don't like bust his chops. They're just very subtle, and they just do these very subtle squeezing manipulations that are just amazing. So I just wanted to say that the Oriental woman was bailed me out of so many difficulties in my life, like when my brow was being furrowed, when I'm struggling with my health or my finances, and like an angel, some like tiny little Oriental woman. They've all been like 4'10", 5 feet tall, maybe even 5'2" at the tallest. They're just little, so they can't really fight back, and they're just. And it's so important to be like grateful for your lot, and to be grateful for the people who've come your way in life, and like, you know, in life we're having conversation with other people, and often other people will be a missing word in our conversation, or often there'll be whole sentences and paragraphs. And some of these Oriental women were just like whole sentences and paragraphs in the conversation of my life.
Did they say
and
like?
They just added so much depth.
Did they say like? Oh, ching chong ling long ting tong.
Exactly.
Ching chong ling long ting tong.
Exactly.
Oh.
They knew exactly what would turn my crank.
And they say, lady, you want to make sucky sucky?
Oh, no, they were never crude.
Me so horny.
No.
Me love you long time.
No, they didn't talk like hookers. They didn't act like hookers. Like a lot of, you know, Jackie Mason says, you tell a Jewish woman, oh, you look like a hooker, and she says, thank you. But not with Oriental women.
All right, here's what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing beautifully on that segment, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That was ready to go viral.
Mm-hmm.
But this part is not going to have to be chewed out. And now, by the time we get to the end part, where I want to say, remember to send your checks to us, we can't put it in the viral video, baby, because nobody's wants to hear about you drooling over Oriental women.
I wasn't drooling, I was just remembering. Like with gratitude. It's so important to have gratitude for the good things in life.
Right.
And for the people who've come
but
your
you
way
see
and
how
have shown you some kindness.
Do you see how you're your own worst enemy? Because you could have had in the segment us asking for money, and you never know, somebody might have given us money, but instead you had to talk about Oriental women.